We got a lot going on at Privacy X right now, but today, in the interim, I'm going to be making a video that you guys have been asking for a long time, and that's a Q&A. But not just any Q&A, a Q&A that actually has over 20 tools and resources you can use right now for your privacy and your security. So let's go ahead and jump right into Operation Q&A. Now, before we jump into these questions and I give you guys the fire, you're going to want to make sure you watch this entire video because I'll be dropping nuggets throughout piece by piece. Now, a couple of things. Tomorrow launches my brand new series, 10-part series, 10 videos in a row that are going to be how-to. So, two things you guys have been asking for a long time. One, a Q&A. I got you. I got some of your guys' most popular questions that you guys ask me all the time that I'm going to answer in detail in this video. Two, you want more how-to step-by-step. Not pieces, not parts, but from start to finish, step by step. I got 10 videos coming up starting tomorrow on that. So if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe because I put out new content all the time on Privacy X. We obviously have some big changes, some big updates coming to Privacy X. I can't get into those today, but we'll get into some other stuff. Two things before we get into the questions. One, update on the Privacy X course. I can't give you an update yet. When you guys finally see the privacyx.org, there's nothing in the world like it. I know it's taken way longer than I thought. Believe me, I wanted to launch almost a year ago, like 9 months ago. It's coming soon, a full update video coming soon, and then you guys will understand why, and I can assure you, you'll be happy and it'll be worth the wait. The other thing, updates to the Ghost program about the crypto agents and the anonymous crypto and all the updates we did to the Ghost program. First link down below, just did a new video on that. You can check it out. Yes, the updates are live. So for all the clients, the updates on the Ghost program are live. You can check that out down below. Let's get into your guys' questions. Question number one, Cody, with DNS being a massive privacy leak, yes, a lot of people overlook DNS, but DNS is a massive privacy leak. What is the best DNS client that is encrypted? Now, here's the irony. There's a lot of DNS clients that are not encrypted, which is weird. So you want something that supports encrypted protocols and socket proxies. Yeah. DNS Cloak for iOS. Now, if you're an iOS user, DNS Cloak is a great option, and I highly recommend it. DNS Crypt Proxy for everything else. Now, DNS Cloak is basically a second part layer for DNS Crypt Proxy, and I recommend using that. This is something that I recommend all of you look into. We do touch on this deeply in my Ghost program, but a lot of people overestimate DNS. There are two vital privacy leaks that you can do all the privacy steps in the world, but if you overlook these things, they will ruin everything you've done. DNS is one of them. We're going to get into the other one here in a few questions, but DNS is absolutely one of them, and DNS Crypt Proxy is a great option for all of you. Phenomenal question, something that not enough people talk about, but really important. Cody, how soon do you believe there will be a recession? We're already in a recession. We are absolutely unequivocally already in a recession, and a lot of people don't seem to understand this. The two down quarters were past. Obviously, the U.S. president is freaking out. He's lashing out at the media. He's lashing out at everyone because a recession is kind of the icing on the cake with what we currently have in the United States and on a worldwide scale. The UK just came out with 9.1% inflation. US's inflation is well over 8%, and these numbers are being generous. Frankly, if you factor in things people need like fuel and food and housing, vehicle costs, all things that people use are at record highs, usually 20 to 70% increases. Gas in the United States has more than 3x'd since our previous president to our current president. We're in a recession. It's going to get substantially worse, and there's a lot of good that's going to come out of this, but there's also going to be a lot of power grabs, and so you need to watch that. So when I talk about things like the social credit score, the second part of this question is what are things I can do about staying out of the social credit score? And he specifically says, or actually I don't know if it's a he or she, but I'm assuming based on the name. I'm not going to say any names because, again, the whole name of the game is privacy. So, but this individual specifically says, I'm planning on taking your ghost program soon, but without doing that, are there anything I can do? Yeah, there are things you can do absolutely on your own. Absolutely things you can do right now. First thing you can do, and I've talked about this, is a credit freeze to quit having your information pump out there. Second thing you can do is something we do at Privacy X, but other companies do as well, is retract all of your data. You need to take your data and not just go ghost. Yes, I talk a lot about going ghost. Not just that. You need to be able to delete your data from all these databases. Very, very vital. Next thing you do is quit pumping information out there on social media. Quit pumping out everything you do. If you have a business social media, that's fine. But quit pumping out all your information. Do you need to go ghost? In my opinion, everyone does. But obviously, that's just my opinion. You do whatever you want to do. But this is a good question. And when it comes to recession, yeah, we're already in a recession. The governments just haven't admitted it yet. Is it going to get bad? It's going to probably get 1929 bad. And that's going to be good for a lot of people. It's going to be bad for a lot of people too. It's going to be a redistribution. It's going to be a restructuring. And depending upon where you are, it's going to be depending upon where you end up. Cody, how far down do you think crypto will go? And do you think crypto will ever recover? Okay. I'm going to touch on this. This can warrant its own video. This is probably the most important thing I'll say in this video. Although I'm going to touch into a ton of in-depth privacy tools here in a second. Crypto is going to go down further. Absolutely. If you're not currently structured to capitalize on the upside of crypto, I want you to really listen to what I'm saying. We're going to be in wave 3 on crypto. Just like wave 3 on the internet. When wave 3 on the internet came, that's what Google was built on. That's what all the big tech companies, that's what all the big startups were built on, wave 3. That's where janitors became millionaires. That's where middle managers became billionaires. We're going to come into wave 3. Now, we had wave 1 up until 2017 in the crash, and the waves get shorter. We had wave 2 from that crash up into the last bull market and now the bear market, and we're getting ready to go into wave 3 in the next year. In the next calendar year, mark my words, I will bet anybody anything on this. We will come into wave 3. When wave 3 happens, it will be the biggest transfer of wealth in the history of the universe. If you're not a ghost right now and you haven't structured yourself, and the reason I talk about ghost is because you have to structure yourself to be able to buy and sell crypto through a business anonymously outside your name through business transactions so you can take advantage of international corporate law. If you don't, see, crypto's never going to look the same. It's getting regulated right now to the nth degree. That's a good thing for people like me because I can use corporate law and business law to my advantage. If you have crypto in your name right now, you are SOL. You're going to be paying 40 to 60% taxes, plus you're going to be dealing with crypto confiscation, which is going to be on a global subset. Also, accredited investors, which you will not be, but businesses can qualify without going through the accredited process because of the asset protection and the growth stock and also the long-term capital gains laws that you can take advantage of on a global scale that you cannot take advantage of as a person. And also, unrealized capital gains and 40 to 60% crypto gains is going to be the standard. Mark my words. But if you run things to a ghost business, like I talk about, first link down below, we can walk you guys step by step through this and actually run everything through an agent. So all your crypto is ran through an agent, no KYC in your name, which is exactly one of the many things we do in the Ghost program. You're going to be set for the biggest transfer of wealth in human history. Now, this isn't financial advice, but in my opinion, somebody with 10,000 in crypto could easily make millions. And here's why. This is going to happen once. This is never going to happen again. Here's why. We're going to see 10 to 20 trillion dollars pumped into crypto overnight. Overnight. When the regulations are finalized, which they're this close to finalized, once the midterms are done in the United States, the regulations will be finalized. 10 to 20 trillion with a T. Right now, the crypto market's hovering around 1 trillion. Let's get a 10 to 20x overnight. The people who are in crypto right now, first layer, second layer, third layer, are going to make so much money it'll be unprecedented. Then what's going to happen is it's going to cause a string of FOMO that is unprecedented to mankind. People will be selling their houses, their cars, their children's toys to buy crypto. It'll pump in another $5 to $15 trillion on a global scale. It'll be too late for the people who aren't already in. The people in right now who are set up as ghosts. That's why I'm talking to so many of my clients about structuring this. Good thing is right now you have a few months left. We have time to structure this. So if you're not already a ghost, I recommend you check out the ghost program right now before we up our prices, because there's nobody who does what we do in the world. And the few competitors we have charge 5 to 15 times what we charge. I'm getting ready to increase my price because Privacy X going, and quite frankly, with the prices, we just have to. I could 10x my prices and I would have more clients that I can handle. But right now, I'm helping you guys out. It's going to have to end soon. I'm sorry, guys. There's a countdown timer on the website. When that's over, it has to end. But in my opinion, this is going to be the biggest transfer of wealth in history. And if you're not running your crypto through a business and you're running your crypto through your name, you're going to miss all of it. First of all, they're going to boot you out. They're going to confiscate. You're not going to be accredited. Also, your tax burdens alone are going to bankrupt you. The worst thing that could happen would be your crypto go up because you would be flat out. So, yes. Do I think I would bet everything that crypto is going to go up. But not only is it going to go up, it's going to go for one time only. And again, remember when Google was worth nothing and then it was worth everything and then it slowly went up? Crypto will always go up, and there'll always be a chance to turn 50 grand into 70 grand or 10 grand into 18 grand. But this is a time where people are going to turn 10 grand into 10 million. And that's never going to happen again. Just like people who invested 200K in Google and then were worth $1 billion. Guys like Chris Sacca, guys like Larry Page, guys like Summers, so many of these people, even people like Noah Kagan, even people like half the initial Facebook investors invested peanuts and came out billionaires. It's a once in a lifetime thing. Well, this is going to happen in crypto, and this is going to make Facebook and Google and Apple and Microsoft look like driplets in a bucket compared to what's going to happen in crypto. It's not even going to be close. First, second, third layers. Across the board. People who are in as a business are going to go to the moon. They're going to blow through the moon, and they're going to go right out the solar system. And then it's going to solidify. And the people who are in and structured properly are going to be able to sell out and turn millions into billions or turn thousands into millions. It's ridiculous. And it's going to be a one-time thing because once the institutional money's in, it's in. And then slowly but surely the markets will grow. But again, big difference between 10,000 to 10 million or 10,000 and 18,000. That's good. 10,000 to 18,000 is huge returns, but it's not life-changing. So yes, I'll digress there. But crypto, not only is it coming soon, as soon as these midterms are done, you've only got a handful of months. As soon as these midterms are done, it's going supersonic on the upside, and not just supersonic. It's going to a level that is unprecedented because all world governments are shifting to these currencies, to digital currencies. So, I mean, this warrants a whole video, and I've got a video coming out that is an in-depth breakdown. One video I promised that is coming soon that I've been working on for a while that's a lot more like highly produced and edited is about the world reserve currency and how things are going to change. But another video I'm going to be doing about this topic because it's substantial. But yeah, check out the first link down below if you guys want to learn how to do this now. So you don't, otherwise you're going to miss out on the biggest transfer of wealth in the history of humanity by a long shot. Not even close. What is the best instant messenger that's not Signal that is decentralized? Well, I'm going to give you 3 options. You want something that's not Signal and it is decentralized. Session. Session's a great option. I definitely recommend Session, which is something you can check out here. Another option I recommend is Status. You can check out Status, or if you're looking for a really good option that is kind of up and coming, Delta Chat. Now, these don't have as many users as Signal, of course, and Signal's a great option in my opinion, but Signal has its flaws. Session would be the one I've had a couple little glitches with Session, but Session's good. And Status and Delta are also very good. So that's a great question, and those are 3 options you could check out. And if you're talking to clients, maybe you own a business, maybe you're dealing with friends or customers, these are great options that are decentralized, encrypted, and great options. Instant messengers, good question. Cody, what is the best alias for email forwarding to hide your existing email address? I love this. Now, I'll give you 2 answers. One, I recommend using your own domain. So I use domains through a domain company that we'll talk about here in a second. But I use domains for all. So it'll be like Cody at, whatever.com or, whatever the domain is. That masks my login email because my login email is always going to be different. That's the best option, and it's the most professional option. That said, simple login is a great tool. If you're just looking for something to utilize for this, they have a freemium option, paid options, but I like simple login. There's other ones, but simple login is clean cut, simple, easy to use, a good option. Next question. What is the best option for encrypted video or voice messaging? Again, that is not Signal. Well, I actually like Signal for voice calls and even for some video stuff or just calls in general. I'm actually a fairly big fan of Signal. I've talked to some people at Signal, so I think I have a little bit more faith in them than some people. But what is a good option? And you go on to ask a couple other questions. You say, I've used Skype and Zoom. Should I keep using those? Things like Skype, things like Zoom, things like Discord are not private at all. Things like TeamViewer, there's so many of them. These are not private at all. They're not secure at all. In fact, there's a lot of accounts where these are actually recorded and stored on the company server end, which on Skype I know 100% to be true. So these are not secure at all. If that's important to you, do not use any of those. Best option if you're going to use something like that is Jitsi Meet. So Jitsi Meet is a good option. Also, Line Phone. Line Phone is a great option. Line Phone is a good tool you can utilize and you can check them out. Again, I believe on the freemium side. Cody, big fan of what you do. What is the biggest threat to digital privacy? There's a few. There's a few threats. Now, we already talked about DNS. DNS leaks are way bigger than people understand. MAC addresses and IMEI numbers. So you go on to ask several. I try to shorten these questions the best of my ability because I'm already long-winded. Let's be real. I can go for days on certain topics. So IMEI numbers for devices are massive. And I talked about how to change IMEI numbers because the federal governments actually keep databases of these numbers now. So even on a burner phone, if they can log your call voice patterns, which is why I showed you guys the voice changer I use, they can actually get into those if it's not encrypted, and they can put you in a database, which they do. It's standard practice. It's not like, oh, he or she's on a watch list. No, sadly, it's standard practice, and it's part of the social credit score dynamics that they're putting in place on a world government basis. So keep that in mind. So what are some options? Well, IMEI numbers are a big threat. MAC addresses are a big threat. And I'm not talking about just Apple MAC address, if you know what a MAC address is. If not, just look it up. But here's the biggest threat. Beyond DNS, beyond MAC addresses, beyond IMEIs, metadata. And I talk about this a lot, and so many people overlook metadata. You need to scrub your metadata. Now, in one of my how-to videos, with my series coming up, one of the topics is metadata, and I go deep because this is not something I could touch on for 2 seconds. Metadata is one of the most insanely deeply rooted cancerous threats on the internet. And so many people overlook it. Almost everyone overlooks metadata. Metadata is the bane of your existence if you want any privacy or any security. In fact, most of you, my team at PrivacyX can unwind your whole life just based on your metadata. A lot of you don't realize how big of a threat metadata is. So metadata. And when that video comes out, I recommend you watch it because I do a tutorial on this. Like I said, a 10-part step-by-step series. So make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. These are some good questions, guys. I really appreciate these questions because it lets me know what you guys want to know, because these things are all standard practice to me and my team. I mean, we go deep every day. But for some of you, you see holes in like, hey, you've done content on this, but what about this? So I really appreciate these. Keep these questions coming because I'm going to try to make Q&As a little bit more frequent. The next one is, this one's pretty good. How do I buy crypto that's not in my name? I've been buying crypto for a long time through resources like Coinbase. Just stumbled across your videos and realized that it's not private or anonymous. Not laughing at you, the situation. So many people think that crypto is private and anonymous, and it's not. It is tracked 100 times more than current financial transactions like credit cards and your debit card. In fact, there's a lot of laws prohibiting government agencies from tracking your debit transactions without a subpoena because it's your money. Now, they can with credit cards because credit cards are borrowed money, so they have the right to track their money. But with debit cards, now, do they do it? Obviously, in some cases, they do. But technically, it's illegal. There's no laws protecting you from crypto. Crypto is one of the most tracked things on planet Earth. I talk about in my Ghost program how to structure it with agents. This is not something I can get into in a couple of minutes. This is an individual situation, and the only place I go through this, unfortunately, is in my Ghost program because it's a very detailed, time-consuming process that each person's situation is different, so I can't just make a video on this and it explains what to do. So, yeah, I mean, the fact is you need to be able to buy it through agents. You need to be able to structure your KYC through your business and not through yourself. In a nutshell, that's what you do. Actually doing it in practice is a lot more complicated, but can it be done? Yes. You go on to ask, is it even possible? Yes, it's possible. Can you do corporate and institutionalized accounts? Yes, you can. So there's 3 phases. Phase 1 is crypto in your name. That's the dumbest thing you could do. Anybody with crypto in your name, you need to get it out of your name. Don't say I didn't warn you when the government is literally knocking on your door. Don't say I didn't warn you. You're going to remember my videos, I promise you. Get the crypto out of your name while you still have a chance, because right now the laws aren't going against you. Soon they will, and then it's too late. It's too late. That's step 1. Do not have crypto in your name. Nobody should have crypto in their name. Step 2, institutionalized account. Now, institutionalized account, the problem with institutionalized account, now, absolutely do institutionalized account as opposed to having the crypto in your name, but you need to have a Ghost business first. But even with an institutionalized account, those are not private, especially with exchanges like Coinbase, Crypto.com, Binance. They're not private. So it really doesn't help you on the privacy front. It doesn't help you with any tax benefits or asset protection, but it kind of helps you with a few laws. It does. And then the next thing is being able to structure your KYC completely through a business like what I talk about. That's the ultimate, because then you're not out there. You're behind the scenes where you should be. Same way all the world leaders do it, the same way all the big celebrities who are promoting these cryptos. You think Mark Wahlberg or Matt Damon put the crypto in their name? Nah, they do not. It's through ghost companies. I know this for a fact, not Wahlberg and Damon, but a lot of other celebrities that my company and other companies that I know, peers, friends, acquaintances, and peers have worked with, 0 of them are putting this in their name. In fact, recently they tried to subpoena Matt Damon. They're like, wait, he doesn't have any crypto. Matt Damon has tens of millions in crypto by all accounts, but he runs it through a corporate entity because he knows better. But that's how celebrities have always done it with everything. Crypto is nothing new. Same thing with Paris Hilton. You think Paris... I digress. Don't put crypto in your name. They're saving that for the dumb people. You're not dumb. You're just ill-informed. But I'm informing you. Do not put it in your name. Good question. Unfortunately, it's extremely complex, and they're making it complex on purpose. Cody, I use several different browsers, and I've seen some of your videos on Tor and other browsers you use. Should I use browser add-ons? On Tor, no, never, nothing. On Tor, you need to be like the real Slim Shady. Remember when there was all the Slim Shadys in that music video, and they all looked the same? Don't change anything on Tor. Screen resolution, browser extensions, be as generic as you can on Tor. Don't log into anything. Utilize Tor for its intended purpose. I've done detailed videos on Tor. When it comes to browser add-ons, my answer is no, but things like HTTPS everywhere, things like uBlock Origin, X Browser Sync, that's a really good one for encrypted bookmarks that you can actually use across devices. So you can still use your bookmarks across multiple devices, but it's encrypted. So yeah, you could use X Browser Sync. And then also on Firefox, I use Cookie Auto Delete. That's the best option in my opinion. You guys are asking some incredible questions. I love this one because now you're thinking of the right question. Cody, I've seen you talk a lot about ghost internet and ghost routers, how to structure your internet. But what about firmware? What is the best router firmware option? Open WRT. That's a great question. And you're correct. I never talked about that before. Open WRT is a great option. Keep in mind, if you have a weakness in your firmware, you have a weakness, period. Cody, what's something I can do for my security right now to drastically improve my privacy and security? If you had nothing, I love this question. If you had nothing, well, you really go deep in this one, but It basically talks about if I had nothing right now and I was going to buy one technological device to front stop. Because some of you have heard about me talking about resetting power to hack your system. I've talked about a lot of ways I can hack your system. And the reason I tell you guys these things so you understand what hackers do, because I'm not a world-class hacker. I've got, mid-level hacking skills. I got people on my team that have world-class hacking skills, and I've got, I won't call them friends, but acquaintances who have world-class hacking skills, especially here in Vegas. What's something I would do? I would get a Protectil Vault. Now, it's a firewall, and I'll link it down below. You can check out the firewall down below. It does have a dual-core CPU, and you can do core boot for security and run it on Ubuntu for Linux. It's an incredible firewall. It's, it's not cheap, but it's not expensive, but it works really well. I use this in my office, and it is a really good firewall. I've had it for a long time, and keep in mind that firewalls are very, very important. It's another thing with routers and VPN routers, and I've talked about a lot of internet things. This is a really good question that I really like this question because it gets you thinking about the port of entry, because you got your ISP, your internet service provider, which has no privacy, no security, and I talk about why you should do ghost internet. I talk about why I never do internet in my name. I talk about all these things in my ghost internet video. But to go a step deeper with the firewall, that's a really good option. It's not necessarily necessary for everyone, but then again, it's a really, really good idea if you don't want to be tracked. If you feel like you're being tracked, stalked, hacked, people are trying to get your information, you can put this before even your VPN, which will actually help you a lot. I don't know if I would buy this if you don't feel like you're a target. If you do everything else right and don't feel like you're a target, I'm on the fence of whether or not I would buy this. But for me, because I take everything overboard, this is a good realistic option. There are more expensive options than this one, but this is a good realistic option for most of you, especially if you run a business or you do any banking online, you do any crypto, you do these kind of things, you're running them through your network at all, this would be pretty important. If you just kind of use the internet, I don't know that I would necessarily recommend this, but if you do any business, banking, crypto, investing, stock trading, Forex trading, or just you have stuff that you don't want people to ever be able to find out, this can add another layer. So love that question. Is there a better option than Tor for Linux? Now you go in to say how you don't like Tor, you don't think Tor is secure, and you're not a fan. I've done several videos on Tor, but I like your question. So I2P is a good option. Now I2P actually works on Windows, Mac, Linux, Android. So you've got a lot of options. It is a peer-to-peer distributed network. Peer-to-peer distributed network. And it has thousands upon thousands upon thousands of computers on the network. So I2P is a great option. IPFS is also very popular. IPFS and ZeroNet. Technically also FreeNet, but I don't use FreeNet anymore. But ZeroNet is definitely a really good option as well. Love the question. Yes, there are other options besides Tor. I think Tor just kind of gets a lot of popularity, but also a lot of people say, oh, didn't the Navy create it? All this? Yes, the answer is yes, but also that's not really how they get in. They don't have technically a backdoor. With being open source and with being structured the way they are, the governments actually can't utilize a backdoor on Tor. That's not how it works. A lot of people don't understand how the Tor network works, and so they get confused. They hear things like the Navy, and they just assume that the government's just spying on everything you do. They actually can't get in unless there's a vulnerability, and there's a lot of big vulnerabilities that they can get in with, but that's not one of them. Technically, they can do the same thing with any distributed peer-to-peer network, but it's substantially harder. Tor's just got that popular marquee name, kind of like Bitcoin and crypto, right? It's that name. So, yeah. Cody, I'm looking at creating my first website. Hey, first website. Good job. What is the best option to buy my domain and to buy hosting that is not tracked? I don't want to use things like GoDaddy. First of all, I would say you can actually use, I've used GoDaddy for years, but it's not in my name. It's not, there's no real information. It goes through let's call it a shell business. Now, a lot of people are on the fence of these. Okay, I'm not going to go down that road. But again, it's not what you use, it's how you use it. That's way more important. How you use something is way more important than what you use. Keep that in mind when it comes to privacy, security, OSNet, and all these other topics. But I use other options. My favorite is 1984. And my new crypto project that is going to be coming eventually. I mean, I'm not launching a crypto project in the biggest downturn we've had percentage-wise ever. But I will say that 1984 hosting is incredible. I love 1984 hosting. Buying domains and for hosting. It is based in Iceland, which you know if you've watched my videos how I feel about Iceland. I'm a big Iceland fan. So yes, 1984 is a good option. Are there other options as well? Privex is in Belize. And you can have a VPS, virtual private server, which is what I use for my websites. I have my own virtual private server. I've actually bought servers and then have them hosted at the server company. So I own it. Privex also accepts Bitcoin. 1984 also accepts Bitcoin. And then if you're looking for something with Monero, Privex also accepts Monero. And then you've got Injala, which accepts Bitcoin, and they're based in Sweden, which is actually pretty good for things like this. So those are some good options where they're privacy focused. Their core focus is privacy. Cody, how are governments able to monitor your traffic and how are governments able to monitor your traffic and break into your Tor network? That would actually paired well with the previous question. The biggest thing is they control your exit nodes. So you're going in Tor and usually you're using a VPN, usually you're using something like a secure workstation. I talk about Unix, I talk about different flavors of Linux, where you're gonna have a workstation, where you're gonna have a gateway to get in. You're probably gonna have a, whether you're running off your own server or you're running off something like VirtualBox or another virtual machine system. There's a lot of Pro Series virtual machines as well. And then you're gonna be in Tor. They're going to be able to, if they can capture or they can seize your exit node, kind of like governments can seize property or they can seize, basically anything because they just make themselves gods half the time. Then if they can seize it, they can seize the exit node. Now again, it's how you use it. If they don't know it's you, then they don't know it's you. They just know that they are monitoring the traffic of an anonymous person. That's why I take all these other added precautions, even when using Tor. Even though I don't do anything illegal, I also use it as best practices. So by commandeering your exit node, it allows them to do this. Last one. What is the best DVPN? Is it Centennial, Orchid, or Nether? Best is a relative term because a lot of these are fairly new. I did a dedicated video, step-by-step details on Orchid and Orchid. And my favorite DVPN still. There's a few that are close. Centennial claims to pave the way for Web3, but frankly, Orchid's the one that I use. I've done a dedicated video, complete in-depth breakdown. There are some other ones I've been playing with, but I have not found one I like better. I found one that have features I like better, but if I compare them neck and neck, there has not been one that has got me to leave yet. I've talked about this a lot where Mulvad is probably my favorite VPN, standard VPN. Orchid is my favorite DVPN. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So these are the questions, guys. These are some things you could take action on right now. These are some tools you can utilize. These are some aspects you could do. And when I ask these questions, you should ask yourself, hey, have I checked that off my box? Have I done that? Like when I talk about firmware, do you even understand your firmware in your router? Have you set up your router properly? When I talk about web hosts and virtual private servers, when I talk about encrypted messaging, or when I talk about IMEI numbers, or when I talk about metadata, or when I talk about chat apps, or when I talk about add-ons, like think about each one of these and say, have I addressed that? Now, this 10-part series that's coming out, we'll address a lot of the most important ones step by step, exactly how I do it. You're going to see me on my machines doing these things, breakdown tutorials. That's going to be cool, and that's going to be helpful to a lot of you to give you kind of a leg up. So that's what I got to say about that, guys. Appreciate all the incredible questions. You guys have been pumping in some amazing questions. These are some top ones. I know I went a little deep on some, a little shallow on others, but there's a reason because, again, I got that 10-part series. So if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe for that. Appreciate you guys checking out this video. If you haven't already, make sure You take action. Understand that privacy is a right and it's a right that needs to be protected. And if you don't protect it, I don't protect it, you could bet the big governments and the corporations will not protect your right to privacy. They'll protect theirs, but definitely not yours. Have an amazing day, guys, and I'll see you in the next video!